Good morning. I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. I want to welcome you to today's presentation, which I've entitled, What Was He Implying? During a recent client meeting that I had with his banker, we were basically set this meeting up essentially to give an update on the progress we were making. And typically, I normally find these meetings with bankers and clients together is fairly beneficial. But I noticed there was some tension in the room, and I think probably part of it was caused by the fact that we had rejected all of the bank's recommendations and for the future of this operation. And you want to know why? I'm glad you asked. I'd love to tell you. That's great. Here were the recommendations. Number one, this dairyman should sell all his heifers and reduce the debt load to the bank. While he had some leverage, some debt levels that were higher than we wanted them to be, I thought to myself, but what about replacements? How is he going to afford the replacements? And judging in hindsight, looking back, I think we were correct, because the reality is those replacements would be $400 to $500 per head higher today than what they were several years ago. Number two, their recommendation was to sell the dairy herd and plant almonds. Well, that sounds more like a management recommendation to me, and not saying it doesn't have merit on a long-term basis, it probably does. But what would the client live on for the next 3 to 4 years while those trees were being developed? And there's some interest that needs to be serviced during that 3 to 4 years. Where would that money come from? We would still have high levels of debt. And frankly, I'm not sure short-term that it made sense for this client. Recommendation number three that we rejected was sell part of the land and decrease the overall debt load. Well, I'll tell you, my friends, I looked at this and I thought the loan to value on this real estate loan for this borrower with this client was about 40%. And in hindsight, he would have missed the upturn, the upside in land values the last couple of years, especially for properties such as his that have multiple sources of water. Those are very valuable today, especially with the drought conditions we've seen. And then we were reminded at the end of this conversation about how lucky we were to have the financing from this bank, because, as he stated, the dairy industry was a train wreck just waiting to happen. And I wonder today if I should send him copies of the daily dairy report that show the current milk prices in the $23 to $25 per hundredweight price range. At this point, I frankly had to borrow a line from former Vice President Mike Pence in the 2020 VP debates when he said, and I quote, "You are entitled to your own opinion. You are not entitled to your own facts," end of quote. I thought it was an appropriate thing to say, and I'm glad I did. But again, what was the banker implying? Number one, that this was a short-term game? Well, maybe it was for the bank, but it wasn't for my client. This was their whole lifeblood of their operation. This was their whole life endeavor was centered on this business. Number two, was he implying that we didn't know what we were doing? Well, I think in hindsight, it appears we did know. Heifer prices are way up. We wouldn't want to be buying feed on the open market right now either. So that's what we would have had to do to sell land or to put more into trees. And by the way, milk prices are way up. Will they stay there forever? Of course not. You know that, and I know that. But for the time being, it's really working out well for this client while they try to get some other costs and efficiencies improved. Number three, what was he implying about land values? Land values are up. And by the way, the herd management on this operation has been refined very nicely over the last year and a half, and they are currently making 86 pounds per cow per day. That's not too shabby. In fact, that's a rather efficient type of milk production factory. And I would ask, why needlessly reduce debt if the cash flow is solid, as it is now, and as our performance is improving? I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you that the client performance here on this particular operation is definitely trending upward. And so I will leave you with one question. Are you, as he was, receiving the most optimal financial advice? If I can assist you with that, please let me know. Feel free to reach out. I am happy to do so if I can assist you in any way. Meanwhile, I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage, and I want to thank you for listening today. Thank you very much.